If we're going to solve by factoring, the first thing that we have to do is notice that this is not already factored. It's not in parentheses. So we have to start by doing that. The two equations that we always start off with are xy equals and x plus y equals. The product is going to be the first number times the last number. So in this case, 3 times 7 gives us 21. The sum will always be the middle number. So in this case, a positive 22. Make sure you're looking at your signs. A positive or negative will really throw you off here. These guys are going to get typed in Desmos, and we're going to look for where they cross. In this case, they cross at 21, 1. If there are multiple crossing points, just choose your favorite. You just need a crossing point. So now I'm going to draw a box. Now into this box, the first term goes in the first box, so my 3x squared will go in that first box. The last term, so this plus 7, goes in the last box. Signs are important. If it was negative, take the negative. And then this crossing point with x's goes in the other two. So 21x and 1x. And then we pull out greatest common factors. So I'm just going to do the first one over here. If I don't know what the factors of something are, I can play around with division. So I'll do 3 and 21. 3 divided by 1 is 3. 3 divided by 2 gives us a decimal, so I don't care about it. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And I know in this case that I am done because I got 1, 3, and then 3, 1. I repeated myself just backwards. So there are all the factors of 3. If I do the same thing for 21, 21 divided by 1 is 21. 21 divided by 2 is a decimal. 21 divided by 3 is 7. 21 divided by 4 is a decimal. Divided by 5 is a decimal. Divided by 6 is a decimal. Divided by 7 is 3, and there's my repeat. So if I'm looking for the greatest common factor between 3 and 21, I look for the biggest number that shows up in both. And in this case, a 3 is the biggest thing that shows up in both. They both have an x, and it's going to be positive because the guy closest is positive. So I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom. And remember, a nice trick to know is that if one of the numbers is a 1, it's automatically going to be a 1. It's not going to have an x because they don't both have an x. It's going to be a positive because the number closest is positive. I'm going to do the same thing but going up. I'm going to use my trick again that, hey, I see one of the numbers as a 1. So it will automatically be a 1. They both have an x. If I go up this way, my factors for 7 are just 1 and 7. Nothing else works. So in this case, the biggest number that shows up between 21 and 7 is 7. Positive, no x. So the factors for this guy are 3x plus 1 from here and 1x plus 7 from here. You do not have to have the 1 if you don't want to. There is factoring, but what we actually have to do is we have to solve by factoring. So I'm going to take the 3x plus 1 equals 0, and I'm going to take the x plus 7 equals 0. Again, you don't have to have the 1, and it makes solving just a little bit easier. So I'm just going to solve these guys. I'm always going to start by adding or subtracting anything that I can. So I'm going to get 3x equals negative 1. Divide out the 3. And I get x equals negative 1/3. Remember, I would leave it as a fraction. And then on this side, still start with adding or subtracting anything that you can. And in this case, my x is already by itself, so the answer here would be negative 7. So my answers to this are negative 1/3 and negative 7. Sometimes you will see that written like this. And again, order doesn't matter. If you saw the negative 7 first, that would be perfectly fine.